Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Informally God. Today, I would like to talk about you can be married and mind your own business. This is not what I actually want to talk about so much, but I would like to use this in an example of this to highlight a greater spiritual truth, and that greater spiritual truth being you can be in the world but not of the world. And that spiritual truth, to me, has the same kind of sentiment as the physical sentiment of minding your own business. So you can be married and mind your own business. You can live with someone day in and day out. You can spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with the same person for 3 years, for 5 years, for 25 years, for 75 years, and mind your own business about this person at the same time. It is completely possible. I never in a million years I wouldn't have been able to get my mind around something like this, principally because I was insane once upon a time. And as an insane woman, besides seduce and destroy, the orders that we get from our father, the devil, besides the orders of seduce and destroy, we are told, including myself, I talk principally about myself, but I see that other women they're taught to have this fallen nature, fallen nature of a busybody, being nosy, of thinking that, this enmeshment with another human being is normal. It's romantic. It's completely toxic. But often women are trained to I want to know everything you're thinking every 5 seconds. I want a ticker tape of everything that you're thinking, every single little thought in your head. I want it. I want you to tell me every single little thing. I need to know where you were. We need to like constantly know. I just need to be, I need to be all in you. That's the worldly training of a woman. That was my training, at least, once upon a time. So it is completely bizarre to me to look at myself now in this position and express a sentiment like this. Because, of course, if I thought like that, there would be no way that I could wrap my head around something like this. There would be no way that I could wrap my head around paying attention to myself and minding my own business. There's no way, while I'm in somebody else's business and while I'm completely focused on somebody else. So you can be married and mind your own business. Let's use the example of your husband. Because I'm a woman, my orientation is to other women, so I speak to other women. For this example, I'll use myself, and I'll just use the role of a wife, the role of a woman. So let's say that your husband loses his job. You can completely mind your business if something like this happens. It totally seems counterintuitive and like it's not something that you would be able to do, because his role as a protector and a provider affects your it also affects your well-being. But that's one of the temptations of the devil. Even if I were a single woman, the devil would still be trying to tempt me with the illusion of material things and the loss or the gain of material things, and basing my identity off of material. That's why it's really important to pay attention to yourself and to develop stillness within yourself before someone else comes into the picture. It, so that you know yourself and that your identity is not false. So if your husband loses his job as a woman, you are experiencing the same circumstance, but you are facing the same spiritual circumstance, the same material circumstance, but you are experiencing it in two different ways because of your positioning. The man, because he precedes you, is experiencing this job loss and this loss in the material as a protector and a provider. You are experiencing this material loss as someone who receives that provision of protection and of provision. So your positions dictate that you're not going to be even receiving this in the same kind of way. Now, just to get this out of the way, roles in God's kingdom are there. They exist. What a man is supposed to do, what a woman is supposed to do, but we're not reading off of a script. God is nuanced. The way that he operates is nuanced. So, and just common sense, if your main role as a woman may be to cook and to clean and to keep the house and to keep the children, but you may not always do that because you may be sick. He may, have an urge to cook if he likes to cook. Or he may decide to pick up a vacuum and vacuum something because, maybe he perceives something as dirty and he wants to vacuum it up or something like that. A man may protect and provide, but he may be put in a position where he needs help. And you have to, jump in as a woman and pitch in, get in where you fit in, and, fling some coins into the situation until everything is realigned. So we're not reading off of a script, but in God's kingdom, the man is a protector and a provider. It's not simply protecting and providing in emptiness. It's protecting and providing with a right spirit. It's cooking and cleaning, for a woman with a right spirit. It's being having these roles with the right spirit of God behind you to be able to do these things in peace and with joy. So because you're in two specific positions, you're not going to, your spiritual warfare is going to be unleashed upon both of you in the same way that Satan tempts all, but it's going to differ because of your roles. For a man, because all of the weight is on him, as a protector and a provider, the household depends upon him. His ability to earn and keep his family safe, that falls on him as the first in order. A peg down from God. So Satan may come to him in all kinds of with all kinds of temptation. He a man, may have become so identified with this role of being a provider that he sees his own self as maybe only a piggy bank. So he may be confronted with identifying with money and identifying basing his identity not on God, but on, this just standalone superficial ability to provide. And so all these things might begin to haunt him. Satan, might come to him, calling him a loser, a failure. You're not able to provide. And so what are you? And this kind of temptation can come on really hard, to the point of, it's always Satan's goal to get you to overreact to an illusion, something that's only going on in your head. But if he can come at you hard enough, maybe this will convince you to just leave your family. You leave your wife, you leave your kids, because the responsibility is too much. The weight is too heavy. Maybe you decide to sell drugs. Maybe you decide to go into something seedy, because you are... your faith in God is being blurred by the devil. So you're not seeing the reality that God always provides. You're believing the devil that there is lack, and you are responding to that lack by producing more lack. So that's the man. Now, as a woman, you're not responding as a provider and a protector. Satan will come to you and unleash all kinds of warfare on you, designed to make you worried, to make you panicked, what are we going to do? I'm so scared. How are we going to feed ourselves? How are we going to feed these kids? Satan will come to you in the form, with the same kind of devilment, but it will be based on your position of being taken care of, when it seems as if that is being put in jeopardy. But of course, again, the illusion from the devil, even if you are single, is to believe that your spirituality is based on external circumstances, is based on the material, which it is not. And Satan will unleash all kinds of warfare down upon your head, with the goal of making you overreact, so that you then get out of your position as a woman and then go into the man's position. It's like you come out of your room and then go into his room. And not only do you go into his room, but you go into his room with all of this worry, all of this anger, all of this panic, and then you just unload it upon him. And he is already dealing with that spiritual warfare by himself, as a protector and a provider. But because you have not minded your business, because you have not taken the time to become still with your father, you leave your room to go into his room, and then you put more weight. You help the devil in actually destroying your husband. By putting more weight there. Usually, not all the time, but usually if people are in a role, in a role with a lot of responsibility like this, when they're experiencing warfare, they already, are struggling with the devil in thoughts of feeling like inferior, feeling stupid, feeling like they're not measuring up. So why in the world would you go into that room and then just compound the sentiment that they're a loser and that they need to, do this and that, and they need to speed it up and hurry it up? When you take the time to be still, you learn that this generates a godly love. Because you are taking the time to check in with your Father, to check those demons at the door of yourself, so that you do not visit them upon someone else, that you do not visit them upon your husband or your wife. I love you enough to mind my business. I love you enough to check in with myself. Only when I've checked in with myself and I've checked these demons at the door, can I come in, knock on the door, and not even really be able to offer anything 9 times out of 10, unless it is material, something I can do materially to help in the situation. But the greatest thing that you can actually do in a situation like this is to be still, is to go into that other room still, so that man can look at you and see that stillness and, say, oh, wow, this is one less thing I have to worry about, somebody else on my head and creating a more difficult circumstance for me. Now, for me personally, I've seen God work all kinds of miracles, as long as you keep Him in focus, and you mind your business and you check those demons at the door. You yield those demons to God. You give those demons to God. I remember a lady, she called Jesse Lee Peterson's show. This was a long time ago, like a couple years ago. And she was talking about how, they didn't really know what to do, her and her husband. She was like in a position where she made more money than him. And she's like, should I purposely like lose my job or go to a lower paying job? And it's like, you don't have to do all that if you have faith in God. If you have faith that God will work it out, and you can keep focused by minding your business and getting yourself cleared of those demons, then you come into that real reality that He always provides. He will always move things in a way where things will get realigned to the way that they're supposed to be in His kingdom. And something really miraculous happened while they were trying to put all this human effort into, figuring something out. It just naturally came about that she got pregnant. And as a result of getting pregnant, she had to step down in her job. Her husband stepped up to the plate. All kinds of miracles will happen if you just check those demons at the door. If you mind your business, if you can be of the world, if you can be of this marriage, but your final authority is not your husband, your final authority is not your wife. If you can be in a job situation, you can be in it, but your final authority is not your boss. Your final authority is not your coworkers. You can be a mother. You can be a father. You can be a cousin or an uncle or a brother. You can be in these roles, but you are not of it. These roles in and of themselves are not the final authority. Being in the world but not being of it means to be in it, but attachment is not the authority. God is the authority. And like I said, if you can just clear stillness, getting still, to quiet those demons, instead of letting those demons ransack you and get you up out of your chair to then go and create all kinds of havoc. If you just sit still, and you trust God to work it out in that stillness, then that's exactly what will happen. You can mind your business. You can totally mind your business. You don't have to, go into your husband's room or go into your wife's room and feel like you have to light a fire up underneath them, because, one of the foundational spiritual truths is that you're not God. I'm not God. And you're never going to be able to, I don't care how close you are with somebody or what you think, a label, how close you think you are to someone based on a label. we're not God, and you can never force anybody to do anything. In God, we can only make an example of his love. And that love will affect your husband. That love will affect your wife. And then all will be worked out because everybody stayed in their place. Everybody conquered their own demons separately. And as a result of doing it separately, you come together peaceful, and God works it out. It's a miracle. It really is. You lost your job. Wow, that sounds like way above my pay grade. As a woman, I never would have a million years thought that I could express a sentiment like that. Like I could be in the mind frame, of, say my husband losing his job, and, me for the most part, depending upon that provision, but still, not really behaving as if, that provision or that material in and of itself is my savior. I'm going to go check in, with my father, go mind my business for a couple of minutes to make sure that I don't pass out, that I don't faint from sheer panic before I check back in with you. And we're really helpless to each other as human beings. So a lot of the times, the most impact that you make on another human being, and we've all experienced it, is not necessarily something that you can do for a person. I've been in situations, and I've had people be in situations with me where it seems like the greatest thing you can ever do for another human being is to just listen to them without judgment. And if you can just be a still witness, to whatever they happen to be going through, and you may say nothing. And I think, this is the gist of what I wanted to communicate. As a woman to other women, I will say that nothing should be able to knock you off of your square as a woman who is in God. Your father is your father. He gave you your position. It is yours. It belongs to you. It is a special place designed specifically for you, the same way that a man's place is designed specifically for him. It is what we call ladylike to remain in your position, to stay grounded in your position, to not let that position overrun you. To not become like a bird brain and, just because the circumstances happen, not to start running all over the place like a chicken with your head cut off, but to really to be able to be still is a great power that a woman has at her disposal. Your role was not given by a man. It cannot be usurped by a man. You can hold your position and remain in your position as a woman no matter the circumstance. You're not relegated to, this, stupid, over-emotional idiot. That's the fallen nature of a woman, but that's not the way that God intended you to be. So your ability to remain where your father specifically put you is your specific power. And you have a great ability, to influence your husband. You have a great ability to influence, when you just stay in that position. But when you come out of that position, you're out of that position. You're out of order. You're screaming, you're yelling, you're stressed out. And your first your first accountability is not to your final authority is not to even your husband. It's not to a man. It's your accountability is to your father. And am I behaving in a way that is conforms to the image of my father? Am I listening? Am I being still? Am I doing what I need to do? Am I where God has positioned me to be as a woman? Or am I positioning myself and acting like God, and as a result of being a false God, chewing everybody out and spitting them out and making it all about you, making it all about me, making it all about your demonic, nasty emotions, instead of just, being still. Mind your business, check in with your father. Um, you can be total, like I said, you can see somebody day in, day out for 50 years, 25 years. This is still an individual. We don't go to God. Our salvation is not 2 by 2. It's not 3 by 3. It's not 4 by 4. This is not a group endeavor. And so, even, to a certain point with what your wife or your spouse does is still a reflection of themselves. It's a reflection of where they are. But yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. You can be married. You can mind your business at the same time. You mind your own business before you check in with somebody else's business. And you do this generally in a more broader sense in the world. Your final authority, like I said, is not attachments. It's not identity attachments. It's not false identities. Your attachment, your final authority is God. And when you check in with God, you bring peace to whatever situation you happen to be in. Because like I said, you've yielded those demons to your Father instead of trying to take them on yourself and then being destroyed by them, because you can't do it on your own. And like I said, if you just keep your position, if everybody keeps their position and they're victorious over Satan by not allowing this demon to try to tempt us out of the garden, right? Trying to tempt us out of believing in God, trying to tempt us to believe in his illusion and his lies, that everything is not going to be okay, that you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose this, you're going to lose that. If you keep your head, if you mind your business, if you keep your peace with God, you yield those demons, the dust will clear. And you will find that he will move things. Things will just realign. And even if you have to, kind of quote unquote, come out of your position by getting a part-time job or chipping into the household, because sometimes that's necessary. The situation will still be moved around at times where you won't have to do that. And then it will just be, things will realign themselves all over again. But like I said, with that woman with the phone call, things will happen just miraculously. If you just display faith. If you display faith that your Father will work everything out, instead of believing that he won't, believing the devil in his lies that he will not do that. If you can just hold still, hold steady, keep your position, then you might be able to help somebody else out who is in a different position. And like I said, the greatest thing you might be able to do is just being still and saying nothing, not adding any more devilment to what is already, under spiritual attack. And on that note, I will talk to you guys in another episode of Informally God soon. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.